Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation.
Yeah, now it's better.
Okay, good.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Just doing interviews, and I hope you're fine too.
I'm doing great. So very thankful for you to be able to take the time to be able to talk to me about everything that you got going on right now, including the debut album from Refuge, Solitary Men, which is coming out next Friday through Frontiers Music.
Right. Glad and proud about it.
So for those that are not familiar, how did Refuge become a band, and how did this whole new album come to be?
Yeah, that's a kind of weird and long story. I hope you have some breath. Okay, I start. It all started in 2014 when I realized I'm turning 50 in this year, and I just wanted to get rid of all the shit in my life. I wanted to get rid of all the things that I kind of ballast in my soul. I thought, I don't, when you turn 50, you start thinking about your life and where you want to be in the future and stuff, this kind of things. And there was one thing that was always like, that I didn't like for plenty of years, that I lost my friend Chris Eftimiadis back then in '99, and we haven't talked since 15 years at this point. We had a bad split after the Ghost album, and since this time we had no contact anymore. And I knew from common friends that he also felt like this, So I thought, okay, I'm gonna just call the guy now and bury the hatchet and just get him back into my life, So I just did this, and he was very happy to hear from me, and we just met in this old place where we used to rehearse back then in the 90s, and just had a beer, talked it over, and just took us 15 minutes to get back in our friendship. We were just waiting for this, I guess both of us, and it was really a coincidence. In this point, some of our friends saw this and just realized, they are back together again, So I have to explain, this is this kind of house where we used to rehearse in back then. This is here in our hometown, this is run by a kind of musicians club, and they have a yearly, a little small local festival just outside in the park, and the local people are just showing up, and in this point, he just dropped in the room and he just saw us, and he was like, wow, So he asked us spontaneously if we would like to play a show together with Manny on this little local festival. And we said, yeah, that's a great idea. We just want to do it. We just called Manny right away, and he was also with us, So we just nailed it right in this moment, And so we had of course, this was not a band, of course, and we never planned to do something more about it, So we played this little show 2 months later or so it was. We just rehearsed once for it. It was really great, awesome, We were really sentimental, and I remember Manny was crying tears when we started to play the first song together, and it just sounded pretty good from the first note on, We never really lost it, And then we played this little local show, and it was already spread over Facebook, from the guys from the house, and there was 1,500 people showing up for just seeing us, We were kind of surprised, and of course they filmed everything and spread it on YouTube, and then after just a week or so, we got the first reactions from festival promoters all over Europe. The first one was a guy from Sweden Rock Festival. He just, I'm an old fan of this lineup from Rage. I just want to have you here. Can you do this again for me? And then from Spain, someone called. We got an offer from Japan for all too. In the end, we also got an offer from the Prog Power Festival in Atlanta. And we were just blown away. Oh shit, we're not even a band. We don't have a name and nothing. What can we do about it? So I asked another friend of mine, which is doing management. This was Lucky Maniotopoulos, a guy that is just playing drums in Rage now, and he promised us to help us about this thing. And from this point on, everything developed, And okay, we made a little band out of this. We called ourselves Refuge because from the beginning it was clear that it's not going to be Rage. Because both Manny and Chris, they have their families, they have their jobs. You know, they don't want to get back into professional music business. They stopped with this for a couple of years ago before already, and it was clear that it's just going to be like a side band, a hobby band. You know, we're just going to play on the weekend, maybe sometimes here and there, but never really do anything like a proper band that works professionally, you know. So at the same time, the old late Rage lineup broke down. You know, I couldn't work with Smolsky anymore, and so I decided at this point, okay, let's make a year break with Rage, take my time to build up a new lineup, you know. And in this time, I'm gonna play festivals with Manny and Chris. We're just gonna have a good time, you know. So 2015 was this year where we played shitloads of festivals and toured Japan, and we've been in North America, and like, a lot of things that we never really expected that would come to us, you know. And then in 2016 I started again with the new Rage lineup. We did 2 new albums already in this time, and now, meanwhile, I also recorded an album with Chris and Manny, which was also a coincidence. You know, after playing first festivals, we got the record companies were becoming curious. You know, we got plenty of offers from labels, and in the beginning we said no, we don't do a new album. You know, we just tore down all these offers. You know, but there was this one label from Italy that actually released Solitary Man album now, Frontiers, from Naples, and the boss, he said, talk to me like, dude, I'm a really big fan of this lineup you're doing with Manny and Chris, you know, and this would be like a dream for me if you just would release something new on my label, you know. And we were like, oh, we cannot really imagine, you know. But he was really stubborn, you know. He called us every week, and after a while, we got an agreement, like, okay, we're gonna give it a try. Maybe it works out, you know. If it feels good and we have the we get the impression that it's gonna be good, we can do it, and then you're gonna get it, you know. But if not, we don't do anything, and you don't get an album. And he said, okay, I'm fine with this, and so this was how we got together with a guy, you know. And this led in the end, now after 2 years later, it led to this Solitary Man album.
Oh, that's just such an incredible story. And, you know, I can speak from personal experience. I was in attendance for Prog Power USA, and you guys put on not just one of my favorite sets of the entire festival, but one of my favorite sets that I've ever seen. I just, the joy that I could see in all 3 of you playing, it was just incredible to see that while being able to play these songs. And it's just, as a fan of Rage and now as a new fan of Refuge, it's so great to be able to see you guys getting together like this, you know, like being able to work through everything and being able to become friends again, being able to form this band and now create some great music in 2018. It's an incredible story.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a miracle still to me, you know. We never planned it. It just like life brought this to us, you know. And we don't even want to make money with this band, you know. This is never meant to be professional or so, you know. We just do it for our private fun, you know, actually. And it just turns out to develop more and more. Let's see where we're going to be next year. I have no idea, you know. So we're just open for what's happening, you know.
So with that, I mean, once the idea finally came to make a debut album, how did the songwriting process begin for it?
So, like I said in the beginning, we couldn't really imagine to do something new. So we thought, so how can we start? So I was checking out all old cassette tapes I had from these old years, you know. There were plenty of unfinished songs and loose ideas that we never really made something from, you know. And I brought all these tapes to Manny, and we met with the guys, you know, and listened to the old tapes. You know, he digitalized everything, so we could listen to the stuff also at home, you know. And then after a couple of days, you know, we get together again, and like, there's just something that we think it is worth working on, you know. Yeah, there's probably plenty of stuff, and then the discussion already started, you know. And then we said, okay, how can we do this? And my idea was to get back the old rehearsal room that we had back then in 1988, and actually it worked. We really got back this whole room, And so we would have this whole original feeling how we worked back then, and we brought just a very small setup in this room, just drums, a very small bass and guitar stack, and just started to jam on these old ideas. Just recorded everything again with an old cassette tape, like we did it back then, to keep everything as vintage as possible. And then the first songs started to crumble. One of the first things we did was Hell Freeze Over, for example. This is based on a riff that we did a song for Perfect Man for, and actually this is the oldest riff that we ever jammed on with this lineup. Remember that when we first met Manny in 1987, this was one of the first, this was the first riff that he came up with. He brought it from his band before Rage, and this was one of the first things that we ever played together, So now finally, after how many years? 31 years or so, it made it to become a song,
And that really does prove a great case for being able to keep every riff, every song, every idea, no matter if you use it for an album or not, because you never know when you're going to use it in the future.
Exactly. I mean, this is, I guess, every musician does this. Every songwriter does this. You just store your ideas, and even if you need them 50 years later, you never know when it's time for something. And we were glad that we had this. It was a great start, and after a while, we were really inspired, and we're getting more and more into it, and getting used to work creativity in a creativity situation together, And then new ideas were also coming, like massive, And after a bit more than a year, we had pretty much the album together, at least the rough songs, And then it took us another year to finalize it on recording it, But now here we are.
And with that, also with creating the songs, creating the band, making this debut album, what was it like to also be a part of the production side of it as well?
Yeah, I mean, also for the production, we just wanted to try to keep it as vintage as possible, to work exactly in the same situation like we did work back then, I mean, not that many bands work in this kind of analog way anymore, Mostly nowadays you just have your pre-production, and then maybe a drummer records a real drum. A lot of bands just work on a drum computer, because they sound that good nowadays that you don't really hear a difference, But we wanted to have everything like back then, like we used to record by around 1990, So we sat together in one room, and with headphones and everything, and just put the microphones on and played in a kind of live situation, till we had the best version that we liked, And from this, of course, we basically used the drums, and because you have all the noise on the other instruments, then so we basically used the drums and re-recorded then the guitars and the vocals, but the basic feeling of the basic song is like from a live situation, So I guess this was the difference of how we would record with other bands nowadays,
Oh, absolutely. And with that, I mean, of course, on the other side of the production work, with mixing, you got the amazing Dan Swano to be able to do the mix for you guys. How did that feel to get him involved?
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, Dan is already also working for Rage since a couple of years. Dan is a very old friend of mine. I know him already since early 90s also. And we always wanted to do something together all over the years. We also were thinking about doing a project together, but then now finally we could get together by working in the production thing. He's over the years he developed to be a real good producer, and so. When I told him that we're going to do an album with Manny and Chris, he was like, "Oh, give it to me! I want to have this. I want to do this." Because he also liked this a phase of Rage very much back then, and he was like, oh, if this is happening, I got to mix it, I got to have it. And I know already exactly how it's going to sound in the opposite to Rage, it's going to sound. And I thought he would be really the best guy to work out this thing, And I think he did a perfect job. It just sounds so natural and so powerful at the same time, There's no fucking samples on the stuff, you just really hear the real drums. You hear all the little cymbals, all this little shit. So if you really listen to it, you hear Chris screaming in between the songs, He's always like screaming when he's like doing some whatever cymbal hits or so, In the beginning we were kind of irritated. What is this for a noise, And then Chris is screaming, Should I try to erase it, And we then, maybe put it a little bit down, but leave it there,
Oh, that's incredible. And yeah, I mean, I gotta agree. I mean, from the production, the mixing, mastering, everything that's went into this album, it just sounds absolutely phenomenal. And when you have three guys like in Refuge, getting together, working on these songs, some of them going back 31 years, and, just getting this together for a 2018 release, I mean, just from the fan perspective, I couldn't have seen this gone any better, and I'm so thankful that you were able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we were also surprised a bit. In the beginning, we didn't never expect this, And like I said, we always left it open. If it would have turned out to be shit, we just would have tear down the whole project and not do it, But then over the time it developed to become really good, and especially now after we got the final mix, we were really like, wow, this is really good what we did there, I also have to say something about Manny's guitar recordings, It took him really long, I don't know how long he recorded, maybe like nearly 4 or 5 months or so, but because he always recorded in the evening after his work, when he felt like it, and he did plenty of things. He did like double or triple, because he was never really satisfied with what he had there. But how it turned out, what he recorded there, this is really awesome. This is the best stuff that he ever recorded, I would say. And now when I hear this, he comes to me right after Michael Schenker and all these legendary guitar players, He really did an awesome guitar job there, which is very typical for him, This sounds really like Manny Schmidt and no one else in the world, And it's incredible what he's playing there. Really fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Just let me mention this.
Yeah, and sometimes that is the way to do it. I mean, sometimes you're able to get it done all over a weekend. Sometimes it does take a few months to be able to get the tracking down, but I'm glad that it worked the way that it did, because everything just feels so fresh and natural on this album from everyone involved, and I'm really happy to see the way that it turned out.
Yes, me too.
So what has been the reception that you've heard for the album so far?
Again, sorry, I didn't get the beginning of the question.
Oh, sorry. What was the reception that you've heard for the album so far?
Oh, very good. So far, there's a lot of interest. We were also surprised how much interest is there in the album, and I can only have a good feeling about it, And besides this, of course, we don't have any expectations, because of course we know it's a different name, and a lot of people just buy names, and I'm pretty sure that there's still plenty of Rage fans that don't really know the story behind this, and they're not really familiar with Refuge, and maybe this album takes a while to grow, to get into the hearts of the fans, to spread all over. Maybe we need mouth-to-mouth promotion, But I'm pretty sure it's a good album that's gonna last and stand the test of time,
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, the more I listen to it, the more I'm falling in love with the album, and it's easily going to be one of my favorite albums of the year, especially when the year-end lists come out. I mean, it's just, I'm so happy to see, just being a musician myself, I know how hard it is sometimes to be able to keep relationships, and, sometimes that turmoil can happen. Sometimes you never talk to someone ever again. And I'm so glad that you were able to make things work out and, just make things work the way that they have for Refuge, because, sometimes those memories and moments that you've had in the past, you want to be able to relive those in a different way again. And I'm so glad, just from that aspect alone, that things were able to work out the way they are. And not only that, but being able to keep that musical chemistry going and being able to have such a great, fun band making such an incredible debut album like this.
Yeah, I guess the power behind this is friendship, you know. Way back then, you know, like 30-something years ago, we were friends, and even if maybe the music business or life itself brought us away, you know, and let us away from each other, you know, and even if there was a long time in between, a long gap that we didn't really do something together, but this old friendship, you know, you never really forget, you know, and when there was a real friendship, it's not gonna be forgotten, even after 20-something years, you know. And we were really glad that we got the chance to reanimate our friendship and to just do it, you know. And from that point on, life just took over, and everything else is like synergy, you know, just developing by itself, you know. We're not planning all this, you know. And you see, friendship is a very, very strong power, you know.
Oh, very much so. And speaking of that, I mean, being able to have that chemistry again, that friendship again that's going on, of course, we'll be coming with some live shows to be able to help promote the brand new debut album. What should people expect now that there is a real debut album part of the live set?
Yeah, I mean, still, this is not meant to be a professional band, and still, we don't really have the time for a proper touring, you know, like we cannot just jump on a nightliner and go for a month on tour or so, you know, because most guys, they don't really have the time for this, and they don't want to let it get that far, you know, they don't want to get away from their families again, they don't want to give up their jobs and stuff. Yeah. I understand all this, you know, and so at the moment, we get lots of offers, and we just pick out the pearls. We basically play festivals over the weekends, you know, now here in Europe over the summer. Let's see what else is coming in, you know, and we are free, or we are open for everything if it fits in the schedule for basically Manny and Chris. I mean, I'm the only professional musician. I could play anytime, you know, but I leave it up to those guys, to both of the guys to make it fit in their life plan, you know. That was from the beginning when we started. It was this was one of the most important agreements we had together, you know. Like, it's not gonna work out and turn out to be a professional band. It's not gonna put stress on us, you know. It's just gonna stay as a fun thing that we all feel good with, you know, that gives us an additional good thing in our life and not putting stress on us or so, you know. That's why I think it's not going to be like a longer tour we're going to do, but we're going to play festivals, we're going to appear here and there. So just check out as soon as we announce something or so, if something fits for you guys. That's the only thing I can say about it.
Oh yeah, and that is so refreshing to hear that too. I mean, the fact that all three of you are in that position to play the shows that you want to play, whether it's a festival or like a mini set or whatever the case is, you know, just going out there, deciding what shows that you want to go play, and because there is the demand, you are able to pick and choose what you want to play, and being able to have fun when it comes to that, because that's what this band should be about. Actually,
this is really our luxury thing, you know, for now, for getting a little bit older, you know, this is kind of luxury thing that we really enjoy, you know.
But of course, along with that, I mean, when you're not focusing on Refuge, I mean, of course, there is Rage, and it's great to see that there is going to be some new music coming in the horizon with Rage.
Yes, of course. Rage is also still active, of course. We just finished, by the end of April, we finished a world tour. And there's going to be a second part also, where we want to start by beginning of next year. We're already booking lots of festival shows for next summer, some special shows. Don't want to promise too much right now because we're still in the making, you know. Don't want to get too much into the details, but it's going to be really special shows we're going to play over the summer. Then we prepare a new album already right now. We're composing and doing pre-production stuff, you know, for new songs. This album is planned to come out by the end of next year, of 2019, and there's also, of course, going to be a proper tour for this album coming up. So this is all in the making right now, you know. We don't really have exact dates, so it's still a long time to go till then, you know. But we are already working on the future.
And how is it for you? I mean, being able to say that you have a band like Rage and also have a band like Refuge?
Actually, this is luxury for me, and I like both bands. I like to play with both lineups. Of course, we are all friends together. It's so just imagine with that. I mean, Chris is also playing with Lucky in another band. He's drumming in another band where Lucky is singing. Tri-State Corner is their name. They just released an album, and they also did a little tour now in 2 weeks ago. So this is all connected in a way. We're kind of musicians family. And Lucky is working as a manager for Refuge also. So it's all like mixed up in a way. We all feel like a musician family. Having just working on the different names, so not to confuse too much the fans. I mean, imagine there would be like 2 lineups under the same name. Like what is it now? How can you know who's going to play when the name Rage is offered? Like will it be with these guys or with these guys? So this is too much chaos. So that's why we picked to use 2 names for the thing. But of course, Refuge is a part of Rage. You can't deny this.
Oh yeah, and it's great to be able to do that. I mean, being able to show off the different eras of Rage, and now with Refuge being able to have some brand new material to go along with that. I mean, even if it is several decades in the making to make that happen. I mean, it's great to be able to see that you're able to show off all sides of Rage, no matter what's going on, and being able to have fun no matter what the project is.
Yeah, this is the most important thing, to enjoy what you're doing. I guess this is for whatever you do in life. This is the most important thing, that you enjoy it. Otherwise, you will get sick and hate life. And yeah, I know how this is when you're in a situation working with people that you don't like anymore, that you have a bad relationship with. I know how this feels like. You cannot really go on like this. So I'm really happy and glad that it turned out this way now. And musically, I'm really set up really good with my life. And thanks to the universe.
Yeah, and again, from the fan perspective, I mean, I'm so happy to see that everyone involved, whether it's Rage or Refuge, is happy being a part of this shared universe that's going on. And it's just so great to be able to see that there's going to be some new Rage music that's going to be coming out next year. Of course, the brand new Refuge, which is coming out next week. It's great to be able to see all of this going on. Being able to have that luxury that you have to be able to continue on playing music the way that you are, having fun while doing it, making all this reconciliation to be able to continue on having important people in your life, and it's a very inspiring thing.
Yeah, and thanks to the fans that keep the face to us and follow all this and like all this. This is without all the fans all over the world, this would not, of course, not work. We would just be a hobby band. So they also belong to the story, and they're a very important part of the whole story.
Oh, very much so. And with that, I gotta thank you again so very much for taking the time to be able to talk to me on this very busy day, to be able to talk about everything that's going on, including the brand new debut album from Refuge, Solitary Men, which is coming out next Friday through Frontiers Music, hearing everything that's going to be going on with Rage as well for the next year or two. I mean, it's so awesome to see everything that's going on with that, and I really, truly appreciate you taking time in your busy schedule to be able to talk to me about everything you got going on.
It was a pleasure. For me. Really. Yeah. This is all, doing especially interviews about this Refuge album now. This is very relaxed for me, It's not like working,
Oh, and again, I'm so glad to hear that too. I mean, I can hear it in your voice. I saw it when you were playing with Refuge at Proc Bar USA. It's just like, I can see how happy you are right now, playing music, writing music, and being with these musicians. And again, it's so inspiring to see that, and I wish you nothing but the best for that, because when you finally get to that moment when you are able to be happy in all ways when it comes to music, there's just no better feeling.
Yes, I agree, and thank you very much. Great.
Oh, not a problem.
All right.